Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I will begin by addressing the elephant or the bow tie in the room, which is that the penguin in the room. I am not dressed for you, Deputy Speaker, as much as I admire you. Tonight is the night of the Prime Minister's Science Awards, a night where we recognise outstanding scientists, research innovators and science teachers across Australia, people who do so much to secure the economic future of this country. And I, as I know everyone in this place who believes in policy based in fact, policy based in evidence, policy based in science, would join me in commending the scientists of Australia, 500 of whom will join myself, the Prime Minister and Minister Husic, just a couple of metres that way. And I'm so proud to be supporting Australia's scientists, because scientists and all those who help us address the great challenges which we face in this parliament year on year do so much. And if we think as this parliament, we are faced with huge challenges. Climate change, the ongoing pressures in healthcare, in aged care, in childcare, across the care economy, tensions in various regions of the world, dealing with Russia's unjustified war in Europe. These challenges are challenges which we seek to bring Australians together, to come up with Australia's solutions, to come up with our response to these challenges and so many more. And if you look at the way which this government has sought to address those challenges, we did not waste a day. If you look back, if we think back to the first sitting of the 47th Parliament, in the first week alone, you had 30 bills introduced to act on the pressures that Australians are facing. We worked to tackle the pressing challenges in sectors of need, including in making sure that we act on climate change. And again, I reflect on the comments that the Prime Minister made when he addressed the National Press Club, where he said very clearly, and this is at the core of this budget and the appropriation bills with which we debate now, our plan is a growth agenda. It is unashamedly pro-business, but also unashamedly pro-workers. We want an economy that works for people, not the other way around. We saw that agenda expanded again at the Jobs and Skills Summit held in September, bringing people together, trying to find those common solutions, trying to look for the common ground which can actually move Australia forward. And it's been a long time since the government has hosted such a summit, and I think we can all reflect that it was indeed a success in terms of building dialogue, strengthening dialogue and strengthening policy outcomes, because bringing people together is at the absolute core of the Albanese government. And this budget, again, shows that. If you look at the careful balance that the Treasurer struck in forming this budget, along with his ministerial colleagues, it is achieving that targeted cost of living relief while also trying to do that delicate balance of trying to avoid further inflationary pressure in the economy. And the results we see, giving cheaper childcare to 1.2 million Australians, including 6,800 in the Perth electorate, progressively expanding paid parental leave to 6 months by 2026, again, giving families more time at home and more support in those challenging years, challenging months with a newborn, making sure that we, where we can, reduce the cost of medicines, making sure that those who rely on the wonderful pharmaceutical benefits scheme that's existed in some form or another for 75 years, that we get the cost of those medicines down, now to a co-payment of just $30 per script. Comprehensive investments in more affordable housing and new creative policy solutions to make sure that more people can have a secure place to call home. Our commitment, as we will debate, I'm sure, more in this chamber and across the other side, on getting wages moving again, recognising that people deserve fair reward for the work that they do towards our economic growth, and also ensuring that there's growth in the wages of working Australians. We also invest significantly in a more resilient economy. If you look at the 180,000 fee-free TAFE places to make sure that more people can access that wonderful training in our TAFE sector and, where necessary, shift their career from one part of our economy to another with world-class training. 20,000 new university places, ensuring that more Australians can have the benefit of, again, a world-class university education. Advances on gender equality, steps towards closing the 14% gender pay gap. Investments in cheaper, cleaner, renewable energy and renewable energy transmission. Investments in ensuring that we can, in fact, have more domestic manufacturing capability through the $15 billion National Reconstruction Fund. A huge investment in ongoing transport infrastructure, including the transformative project in Western Australia of Metronet, one component of which being the very exciting airport line, on which I was excited and privileged to ride with the Prime Minister and the Premier of Western Australia when that opened just last month. We've got commitments to expanding the national broadband network, to making sure that we do more to help Australians who are on a pension be able to keep more of what they earn if they choose to go back into work. More funding for staff to slash the visa backlog. This is a good budget. And if I look at what it means for my community locally, it means we have secured finally the investment in the Aboriginal Cultural Centre, something that will be the West Coast's answer to the Sydney Opera House. We've got a Medicare urgent care clinic that will be based near Royal Perth Hospital, ensuring that we take pressure off the hospital's Deputy Speaker that mine and your constituents rely upon in Western Australia in the Perth metropolitan area. Commitments for the City of Perth to invest more in their Light Up Perth program. Investments in the City of Stirling to invest more in lighting up the Beaufort Strip. Investments to help the City of Bayswater reduce their energy bills, reduce their emissions by investing in LED lighting across the city. Investments for the town of Bassendean to make sure that Swan District's football club can operate under the appropriate lights for their men's and women's teams. And investments for the City of Vincent to upgrade lighting at Axford Park. There's so much more of which I am proud, including our commitment towards the Bayswater Urban Forest, commitment towards new playgrounds for the children of Bassendean and further afield. Many have FIFA World Cup fever at the moment, but those of us in Perth will be waiting until we have that, do our bit for the training facilities for the FIFA Women's World Cup next year, which will include the Perth Soccer Club, a wonderful club that stood for decades in the Perth electorate and will get some much needed upgrades. And partnering with one of the official local heroes of Western Australia to deliver funding for short back and sidewalks to expand their operations in delivering services to people who are homeless in Western Australia and indeed across Australia. When it comes to other investments, one of the things we know we need to do more on is invest in our river health. And for our urban rivers, and indeed the Swan and Canning rivers, this budget delivers on a major package of investment in the health of those waterways. Restoration for the Tranby House foreshore, revegetation of the Maylands lakes, commitment for the Friends of Barden Park and the City of Bayswater to make sure that we continue the great revegetation work and weed eradication which has been choking up parts of the Swan River. And then we get to one of my loves, which is play-based learning. It's not just about the big visionary reforms when it comes to childcare investment and investing in early childhood education and care for 1.2 million Australians. It's also about the little things, like making sure that we can support the Bayswater Toy Library, the Yokine Toy Library, the Bayswater Playgroup and the Yokine Playgroup for new equipment and toys, supporting our youngest Australians to get the play-based skills and learning that they need, and investing as well in the future of renewable energy through our commitment to community batteries for Dianella and Bayswater as part of a package of 400 across Australia. I'm particularly proud, and I would like to also note that this is a commitment that's in this Treasurer's budget, but pay tribute to former Treasurer Josh Frydenberg, for the work that he did on the Jewish Community Centre and Holocaust Education Centre that will be in Yokine in my electorate. This is something which has bipartisan support, and I've always recognised the strong bipartisanship that applies to building that centre, something that is much needed in Western Australia, and I'm pleased that that funding is secured and that construction will soon commence on that really important project. The other thing which, in terms of communities which have long-standing proud traditions in the Perth electorate is, of course, our Italian community, where I'm pleased that we'll be supporting the Italian Club of Western Australia. So there, myself and yourself, Deputy Speaker, can attend the Italian Club for a range of community functions. It's a great host of many community functions for many years to come, and also to support the Australian Asian Association with a new vehicle to transport their members to ensure that they can continue to provide such valuable community support. I might start to conclude my remarks, Deputy Speaker, by noting that I am able to support this budget, and all of us are able to come and put our views on these appropriation bills and indeed every piece of legislation that is put before us because of the support of so many. No one makes it to this place on their own. I want to say thank you to my campaign team. I can vote for this Labor budget because of them. And I also recognise that they are people who tend to be pretty honest with you. They tell you when you're doing well, they tell you when you can do better, and for that I'm grateful as well. So I can thank my campaign team who supported me all the way up to the 21st of May, 6 months ago today. And I want to say a huge thank you to Dylan, Marissa, Kiani, Aoife, Beth, Daniel, Mike, Ebony, Callum, Megan and Naomi, who formed the core of that team. They sent me out door knocking when I didn't want to. They sent me out phone banking when I didn't want to. They also sent me out door knocking when I did want to. They are all passionate people who believe in the cause of Labor. They recognise that the mission of Labor in government is not to hold anyone back, but also not to leave anyone behind. I want to say thank you to the team at Party Office in Western Australia, led by Ellie Whittaker, someone who I have praised in this place before and still has a long and exciting career ahead of her, and at the time was led by Tim Picton, who was chosen to do what many do after a brutal run, leading any organisational wing of a political party, and take some respite in the private sector. I want to thank Mark McGowan and his entire ministerial team, including my state parliamentary colleagues. And in an earlier time, I would have named every single one of my federal parliamentary colleagues. There was once upon a time where there was just a couple, just 6 of them. It's a slightly longer list now, so I'll use the last 2 minutes I've got to instead thank some of those people who genuinely gave up their time to volunteer for the Perth campaign. Thank you to the following: Nadia Turner, Marlene Poole-Deves, Callum Baxter, Stephen Graves, Numila Kurofsky, Ryan Stewart, Jared Duckett, Matteo Rosario, Gary Giles, Trudy Angwin, Robert Taylor, Lee McGrath, Sophie Stiles, Maya Montgomery, a wonderful member of the Perth community, Pam Day, Jamie Moore, Steve Carter, Harry Brooking, Linda Pickering, Superb Bat, Jack Matthews, Andrew May, Mark Devlin, Dan Bull, Luke and Nicole Archer, Cam O'Donnell, Veronica Gobber, Kath Allgrove, Joanne Fatakis, Cody Steele, Andrew St John, Adrienne Silsbury, Anne Mills, Carol Seidel, Carol's a gem, got to say that, Martina Nukova, Luke Hutchison, Danny Montague, Kerry Lawrence, Kay Croswell, Agnes O'Kane, Ivy Chen, Julianne Bull, Gillian Inns, Glenys Addy, Anthea Matthews, Michael Thorne, Joy Nichols, Marisol Nelson, Brenda Hickman, Barnaby Sullivan, Peter Moody, Jeff Parkinson, Brendan Jackson, Tatiana Ignonia, Karen Hughes, Hayden Miles, Melinda Perks, Tim Diamond, Davij Gupta, Bobby Oliver, Sophie Farrell, Niet Mulugata, Judd White, Andrew Lee, Naomi Schneider, Kira Wee, Tommy Meager, Evia Aringo, Roman Booth, just a fraction of the many people who, like anyone in this place, whatever your politics, you know You don't get here alone. And once again, I say thank you to all those who supported me and allow me to vote for this first Labor budget. Thank you.